Hello to all my fellow Christmas lovers and enthusiasts. You are listening to Closer to Christmas, the podcast where when every episode comes out, we're all a little bit closer to Christmas. My name is Charlie, and on episode 12 of the podcast, I'm going to have a very special guest with me, and we're going to be covering one of the Netflix animated series Cuphead holiday episodes. So now that you know what this episode is about, it's time to go grab your favorite beverage, pour it into a Cuphead or a Mugman, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, everybody. On today's episode, I have a very special guest. You might have to excuse the audio quality for a little bit. It's kind of hard to get a young kid to sit in front of a microphone and talk clearly, but we tried, and on this episode, I sat down with my youngest son, Max, and we discussed one of the Netflix animated series Cuphead, one of the holiday episodes. There's 2 in this season, so we're going to do another episode about the full-blown Christmas episode, but this one's the holiday-themed one that leads up to the Christmas episode. So if you have Netflix, this is the Cuphead show. It's season 3, episode 5. The title of this episode is Holiday Tree-dition. But before I get into my sit-down with Max, I'm going to talk a little bit about some stuff that's going on with the podcast. I would like to say thank you and Merry Christmas to someone from another country again, because I had some listeners from Ireland. So with that, I would like to butcher this and say, Go Raw Mathgit and Nolig Hana to my listeners in Ireland. So thank you for listening all the way over there. So with that said, I do have one more announcement. There's going to be a very special episode that I'm going to be putting out. If you listen to the show in the past, you might know that I have a younger brother, and I thank him every episode for doing the intro and the outro music for my podcast. But years ago, him and I also used to host a holiday special podcast, and we would just discuss all different types of holiday specials. And that would be holidays from all year round, not just Christmas stuff. But we did stuff like the Garfield Christmas and, movies like that. We did discuss all that stuff. But the name of that podcast was The Holiday Bros. So him and I are getting together again, and we're going to be recording an episode all about A Christmas Story Christmas. So that's either going to go up on the Holiday Bros podcast feed or on this one. I haven't decided how I want to do that yet. I don't know if on one of the feeds I want to put up a spoiler-free review, and on the other feed the full-blown review. Not too sure how I want to do that yet, but I will have him on a future episode, so keep an eye out for that. I will post anything I can about it on here, and also keep an eye on my Instagram and Twitter. Both of those are at Closer to Xmas, and I'll post anything that I have up there. And then one more thing before I get into the sit-down with Max. This is an update, so with that, I think Robert Stack has something to say.
Update.
All right, so we're full-blown decorated for Christmas at my house, and before I put the Halloween decorations away, I snuck one of the spiders out of there, and I took that and hid that in my Christmas tree that I have down here in my recording studio. I posted a picture of that up on my Instagram and Twitter today. The other thing I posted up there was on one of the other episodes I mentioned the Mickey Mouse bubble nightlight that I got, how it kind of hangs out of the wall. I posted a picture of that up there as well, so if you want to follow me on my Instagram and Twitter, both of those are at Closer to Xmas. Check it out, and you'll see the pictures that I posted up. So if you decided to keep a spider out and put it in a tree, why not post a picture of it and tag me in it? I would love to see it. And now we're going to get on to the sit down with Max, so I hope you guys enjoy this interview.
Come with me to the Inkwell Isles. It's just off the coast, maybe 29 miles, where there's good and there's bad and then there's in between. With Cuphead and Mugman, you'll see what I mean. Ice cream and rockets, trouble never ends. Watch this ding dong dance, they make new friends. Take it out. They'll need some help just to stay on track. So don't dance and go, you better watch your back. So if you're looking for fun,
Yes, we're looking for fun.
then there's a VBGB.
We got the heebie-jeebies.
Take your breath and let's go. Welcome to the Cuphead Show. Welcome to the Cuphead Show.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Why do you say
All right, so I am here with a very special guest. Do you want to introduce yourself? What's your name?
Max.
Max, you are my youngest son, and we have a love for Cuphead, right?
Yes, I love it.
So today we're going to be talking about an episode of the Cuphead show, season 3, episode 5, actually. This one is the Holiday Tree-dition. This one's about the holiday season and the Christmas tree. This isn't the actual Christmas episode. That one's the next episode, right?
Yep.
I'm excited for it. But we have a love of Cuphead. We've been watching and playing Cuphead for what? Well over, probably what, a year, 2 years?
So long that my birthday passed when I was playing. I was playing when I was 7.
Yep. And how old are you now?
I'm 8.
So we love Cuphead. We've been playing it. We played it on the, what do we play it on? The Nintendo Switch?
Yeah, and then like we started like watching the show, and then like eventually like my dad said like there's a game about it, and then like I was like there's a game, and then I was like I want to play it, and then I just started playing.
Yep.
And
So
then I loved it.
well, the Cuphead's actually the reason why I got my Xbox 360 when I got that one, because Cuphead was supposed to come out for that, and I bought it, but it didn't come out for like a year or two after that. It got delayed. But then it came out for everything, and it came out for the Nintendo Switch, and that's what we played it on. But that's not what we're here to talk about today, right? We're not here to talk about the game, even though we love it. And
Yeah.
and I'm going to be honest with you. You are better at the game than I am. You beat the game. You beat all of the characters, all the bosses on expert level.
Yo, I can't believe. So, like, I can't believe normal mode. I glitched Seth Solvig up.
Yep.
I literally glitched.
So yeah, that was one of the issues we had. We did glitch one or two of the bosses, but then you went back and fought him and beat him anyway.
Yeah, on expert mode, even harder.
Yep. So that's all right. So you definitely are better at the game than I am. But we're going to talk a little bit about the Cuphead show, the season 3, episode 5, titled Holiday Tree-dition. It's all about getting what?
A Christmas tree.
Yep, the Christmas tree. So the thing about Cuphead, it's like an old-timey looking cartoon. It's supposed to look like cartoons from like the 30s and 40s, like your Betty Boops, your Popeyes, like your old school cartoons. And the characters in the show are weird. Like they're not human. So you have Cuphead and Mugman. They're brothers. They look like teacups, right? Like coffee cups. They got straws in their heads. It's a unique cartoon. There's not another cartoon out there like it. It's so weird if I talk about it to say, okay, they live in a tea kettle shaped house. They live with their dad, an old man that watches them. His name is Elder Kettle. He's like an old tea kettle, and he wears little pointy slippers, like his little bedroom slippers. But that's the thing. Like it's an old timey cartoon, so none of this is going to make sense. So if you don't know what Cuphead is, this is probably just going to sound like craziness, right?
Yeah.
Because like if I tell you a little bit later in the episode, a light bulb buys a Christmas tree from a pig, that really happens. But if you don't know the Cuphead universe, you're going to be scratching your head.
So if you don't know any of this, you gotta go get the game.
You have to get the game, watch the show. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix series. So,
Yeah.
And this is the first episode that they did that was Christmas themed. Otherwise, we would have talked about it a while ago. But yep, season 3, episode 5 is the first Christmas related episode. But when this show starts out, it's like a mixture of like real life things and animation. So like when the title screen for the episode comes up, there's like cookies on there that are in the shape of Cuphead and Mugman, and they looked so tasty. Like I just wanted to eat them. They were like icinged nice.
Yeah.
I loved it. They looked really good. But then the episode starts off with a song. And this episode, when you watch it, you get all of like those good holiday feelings. Like it looks like a good classic Christmas cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Like there's the songs, like they're singing a song about what? Do you remember how it starts off?
No, I don't.
You when you said it, you said this is my favorite part of the episode so far. And it was the very first thing. Like they're walking out of their house. So they have a tea kettle shaped house. Or is it a coffee pot? Yeah, I think it's a tea kettle. And they walk out of the house. They're dressed in their winter best. Like they have like their little hats on with their earmuffs and they look so cozy and Christmassy. And they're walking out of the house singing a song about a Christmas tree. Chopping it down and getting a tree. And the funny thing is, like, Elder Kettle walks them out. Elder Kettle is, I guess he's their dad, but he walks out to the edge of the property and then turns around and runs back in and slams the door. And then they like, Cuphead and Mugman turn around and they're like, wait a minute. And they go back and they start pounding on the door and Elder Kettle's inside. And he's like, the traditions it's all for you now. You have to go and get the tree.
When I think of Christmas time, this is what I know. It's all about tradition, stockings, gifts, and snow. But nothing else says Christmas, so very clear to me. It just quite isn't Christmas. But a big old Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree, shining oh so bright.
Plug you in and watch you glow.
Adorned with colored lights.
Oh, Christmas tree, we shout it out with glee. It just quite isn't Christmas without a big old Christmas tree. Woo! Yes, boys?
Elder Kettle, aren't you coming?
No, boys. No, I'm not. I've done the tree all these years, but now, keeping the tradition alive is up to you. You two head down to Pork Rinds and pick out a tree.
So that was your favorite part in the episode, though, that song?
Yeah.
It starts and ends with it, which is pretty cool. But so Elder Kettle tells them it's your turn, boys. You got to go and get the tree. It's a tradition you got to keep up. And then he gives them money. Do you remember how much Elder Kettle gave them to go spend on a Christmas tree?
$10.
But then what did he say?
He said it's now $15.
Well, no, that was Pork Rind said that. So Elder Kettle gives Cuphead and Mugman $10, and he kept going, here's $10, go get a tree. But then he looks at them and goes, but only spend $5. And then he's like, but here's 10, but come back with change for 5. And he goes, Pork Rind's going to try to sell you a tree for $10, but tell him you'll give him 5. He kept telling them, haggle with him. Don't spend more than 5. He said, come back here with the tree and $5. He kept telling them that because he wanted them to go and haggle with Pork Rind. Now, Pork Rind in the game, he's the guy that you go to buy all your abilities. So he has like it's basically like a little wagon. It looks like a wooden train car, but he just travels around and sells goods. But in this episode, he's selling Christmas trees.
Yeah.
They're $10 this year, though. Even though Elder Kettle told them only spend 5, sit there and haggle with them. They get down to the tree yard, and Pork Rind's standing there, and what's he yelling out? He's like, Christmas trees, $10. Now his name's Pork Rind, but what is he? He's just a big
pig.
He's a big pig with a butcher's like uniform on. In the cartoon and on the video game, he wears like a patch over one eye, like a big pirate patch. You know, yeah. I like Pork Rind. I think he's a cool character.
Yeah.
I think he's supposed to be a bad guy though, because he's always like ripping them off. But the Christmas tree farm is no different. He's trying to rip everyone off. But here's the thing, $10 for a Christmas tree, that's a good price.
Yeah, that's a pretty good price.
Especially nowadays, because I think trees are like, I want to say probably $80 to $100 now.
$80 to $100?
Yeah.
What, you're joking?
I'm not joking. That's how much a Christmas tree costs now. They're so expensive.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so he tells them, get one for 5. So if you could get a Christmas tree for $5, that's a deal.
Yeah, that's a really good deal.
Okay, so they're sitting there, and Cuphead's standing in the background. He's letting Mugman do all the haggling with Pork Rind, you know? And Mugman's like, I'll give you $5. And Pork Rind's like, they're 10. And he goes, but I'll offer you 5. And he's like, you know what? Trees last year were 10. They're 10 this year. And next year they're going to be 10. So he's sitting there haggling back and forth. And then Cuphead's in the background going, you're doing great. Right? And like every time Mugman's like, I'll give you a 6. Every time he like puts up a number. Do you remember what his fingers were doing with his gloves?
Yeah, they just pop out.
Yep, they were like ripping out of the fingertips of the gloves. So it was pretty funny. But then he finally gets to the point where he's like, I'll give you 7. And then Pork Rind's like, you know what? 15. And then Mugman's like, no, 15. I don't have that. And then you hear a little voice go, I'll give you 15. And then it just pans over and you see a little light bulb that's just standing there holding up money, $15. And then Pork Rind's like, 15 sold. And he holds the tree above the light bulb, and the light bulb's just standing there shaking. And do you remember what he says to Pork Rind?
Be gentle?
Yeah, he goes, be gentle. And Pork Rind drops the tree on him, and you just hear a smashing sound. So I guess basically Pork Rind killed the light bulb.
But he came back to life.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's just cartoon magic, you know? So then after that light bulb buys the tree, what does Pork Rind say? Do you remember?
No.
He goes, that's it. We're all out of trees. That was the last tree. And then Cuphead and Mugman are sitting there shaking because they don't have a tree, and that was the last one. So do you remember what Pork Rind offers to do then?
Give them an axe and go find a tree.
Yeah, he goes, well, you know, you boys can go and cut a tree down. And then Cuphead and Mugman say, well, we don't have an axe. And then all of a sudden, Pork Rind opens up the door and says, I'll sell you this axe for $10. And then the next scene, it just cuts to Cuphead and Mugman. They're walking down a path, and they are carrying the axe. But do you remember what Cuphead and Mugman are doing? Like, who's the one swinging the axe around?
Cuphead.
All right, so Cuphead, like, if you know the character, you'll know, like, they're kind of like airheads. They kind of do like funny things, and they're kind of clueless. So they're both walking next to each other, and Cuphead's just swinging the axe back and forth, like almost chopping Mugman's head off. And Mugman keeps ducking every time it comes by him. But they're walking down the path, and it's playing that song, the Nutcracker song. And because you even know, you go, hey, it's that song.
Yeah.
And so it's got the good Christmas music to it. The whole episode's very Christmas feeling, even though this isn't the Christmas episode per se. It's Christmas season, but it's such a good feeling. So they're walking down the path and they see all these little trees. There's one, it's like the tiniest little tree. It looks like a little toothpick.
It looks like little baby little guy.
Yep. And when they walk by, he just goes, too small. And then they go to another one and he's like, I don't remember what he says, but they're walking by all different types of trees.
Yeah, and then one of the trees is like it has hands and it's throwing snowballs.
Yep, it's
like,
juggling
yeah.
snowballs. Do you remember what Cuphead says when he sees that tree?
No, I don't.
I think he goes, too desperate, because like he's like making it like the tree's doing tricks to try to get someone to want him. You know? So then they're walking and all of a sudden they go, we're never going to find a perfect tree. And then they walk off the screen and what do you see behind them?
The perfect tree.
It is beautiful. It's like the snow's kind of hanging off of it. The sun's like shining on it. It looks beautiful. And then all of a sudden you just hear the music. Like the sun opens up on it and it just goes, hallelujah. And it just starts doing that type of music. And it's great. So then all of a sudden Cuphead and Mugman turn around and they see it.
It's rolling down the hill, just rolling down and down hills. And then eventually Cuphead just falls on it, and like they go in a cave with bears, and they get beat up.
But do you remember how the tree gets cut down?
Yeah,
well, first they're fighting about it.
Yeah, they're fighting about the axe, and then they throw it on accident, and it just chops the tree over.
And it cuts through just like a knife through butter. It's like so soft, like it just cuts it right away. And then all of a sudden they're sitting there arguing about who's going to cut the tree, and then they turn around and look, and that's what you said. All of a sudden the tree is just flying down the mountain, and then they start chasing it, and then the Nutcracker music comes back. They're chasing after the tree. They jump on it like a sled, and that's when it goes right into the bear cave, like you said. And there was a good probably 10 or 12 bears in there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they all wake up and they just attack Cuphead and Mugman, and then the tree flies out of the cave back down the hill, and then they jump on it again. And then do you remember where the tree goes after that?
In Etta Kettle's house.
No, it goes to one other place. Remember where it gets all mangled?
Oh, like a place where all saws all and.
Yep, it goes to a sawmill, and all of a sudden, like it's on a conveyor belt heading towards all the blades, and Cuphead and Mugman are on it, and you and me were looking at each other like it's gonna get destroyed. Then all of a sudden, it shows us it just like shoots out of the whole thing, flies through the air. And you looked at it. You looked at me and you said the tree is what did you say? Did you say it was broken?
It's ruined.
Yeah, you said the tree's ruined, and I looked and I said, "Oh, it's mangled." And then all of a sudden, what did Cuphead say?
No, it was Mugman.
Oh, was Mugman? He just says to Cuphead, "The tree's mangled." He said the exact same thing I said. But so then the tree's flying through the air, and then what happens to it? It just all of a sudden like
pops
back open.
It's like when you have a cat and you wash it, the hair's like, and then you like blow dry and brush it off. Poof! All the hair just pops out.
So that it was back to being a perfect looking tree.
And then like it just falls in at the Kettle's house and just it's perfectly up. Everything's nice, but the end part, they put the lights on.
Yep.
And it gets burnt to a crisp. Like it's falling on fire, and then it gets to the tree, poof, it goes to a crisp.
Yep, it burns up completely. That's because they were like, Elder Kettle was like, okay, you boys could decorate it. And then it just cuts to it, and it's already decorated. And it looks really nice, too.
Yeah,
like the lights on it are really nice. They plug it in, and when they drop the plug on the floor, that's what catches fire. And then it just like follows all the way through the cord right to the tree.
Yeah.
And then it burns up like a matchstick. And then it's just sitting there all burnt.
Yeah.
And then that's when Cuphead and Mugman are like, oh no, we ruined Christmas. And they were all upset.
Yeah,
but then Elder Kettle says to them, you know what, boys? It doesn't matter about the tree. It's about the time you spend with family.
Yeah, and then at the end he said, even if it's burnt to a crisp.
Yep. And that is how the episode ends. And then all of a sudden, I think they just start singing that Christmas tree song again.
Yeah.
And that was a good song. I'll have to play a little clip of the song at the end of this episode just so you guys could get a feel for it. But in your opinion, did you enjoy this episode?
I loved it, but I'm more excited for the real one.
So we're going to watch the Christmas episode, and then we're going to record another podcast about that one. Mm-hmm. So that one involves the devil. So the basic premise of Cuphead, if you don't know, Cuphead and Mugman, their brothers, they made a deal with the devil in one episode, and they owed the devil their soul. But obviously they weren't giving that up. So they did what they could to get out of the contract by giving him other souls. So they're out of the contract. So the devil actually plays a big part in this cartoon series and the video game.
Yeah.
He's like the main boss, you know?
But the devil for me is so easy. Like,
Oh, in the game?
yeah,
Yeah.
like he's so easy. Like he's probably like the easiest boss for me.
Yeah, you do really good on that game.
Yeah, but Dice Man the first time he was insane.
Yep. I kind of hope that Dice Man shows up in the Christmas episode. Do you?
Yeah, we never see him in them.
I know. He was in season 2 a lot. Now, Dice Man, he's basically what we'd think by his name. His head is made out of dice, and he dresses in a nice suit. He's a total He's a total knockoff of Cab Calloway, that one old time singer that sings like Heidi Heidi Ho, like that. He says that all the time too. So the whole series has the old classic feel. But I recommend watching this Christmas episode. I think you could watch this and not know anything about Cuphead. You don't have to watch it or know everything. You could just go in and watch this episode and you'd still get a good feeling, right?
Yeah, it would be the same thing.
Yeah, so you don't really need to know the lore of Cuphead to watch this one. So if you have Netflix, I would jump on season 3, episode 5. This one was Holiday Tree-dition. And then the next episode, we're going to talk about the full-blown Christmas episode, okay?
Yep.
So we will be back after we watch that one, and we're going to record a podcast on that. So you have anything else you want to say?
Let's see. Not really, no.
All right. So with that said, we will talk to you next time when we watch the full-blown Christmas episode. So until then, have a good day.
Bye.
Oh, Christmas tree, shining oh so bright.
Plug you in and watch you glow.
Adored with colored lights.
Oh, Christmas tree, we shout it out with glee. It just quite isn't Christmas without a big old Christmas tree. Woo!
All right. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Closer to Christmas. I hope I was able to get the audio cleaned up enough so you guys could hear it. We're going to be doing the full-blown Christmas episode on a later date, so stay tuned for that in the podcast feed. And with that said, I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving, a safe Black Friday, and the next time you hear my voice and this podcast, we're all going to be a little bit closer to Christmas. Thanks for listening. I would like to thank Kevin Iggy for the use of his music for the intro and outro to this episode. Links to his music can be found on the show notes for this episode. If you could take a minute of your time and rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this show, it would be greatly appreciated. You could email the show at closertochristmaspodcast@gmail.com, and you could visit us online at closertochristmas.com. If you would like to have your voice heard on the show, or if you'd just like to send in a question or a comment, head over to closertochristmas.com and click on the message button. And finally, if you would like to follow our social media so you could see any pictures I might have discussed on the show, you could check us out on Twitter and Instagram, both at Closer to Xmas.
Closer to Christmas is a proud member of the Christmas Podcast Network. The Christmas Podcast Network is home to hundreds of great Christmas podcasts from all around the world.
Okay, Elfie, I'll take it from here. Make sure you visit the Christmas Podcast Network at christmaspodcasts.com.